You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people-of-color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include environmental collapse, climate disaster, apocalypse, death of loved ones, grief, murder and killing, trauma, guns as weaponry, survival and scarcity, and references to war, militarism, classism, class struggle, and amnesia. Arc 4, Episode 16. No Trust Will Follow. From Waiting for the Moon to Burn by Connie Chang. From a young age, Samishi Erebor understood the power of heat. As an 8-year-old, she enjoyed the warmth of Kazuki's triple suns on her shoulders as she frolicked in the purple fields of Shuten. As a 28-year-old, she hiked the peaks of the Centipede by herself in high summer, a hard-won concession from Buta for their honeymoon. And now, as a 58-year-old, Samishi stands on the observation deck in a huge, sweltering room carved from metal and stone. Her body is wrapped in the familiar thermoplastics and heavy-duty neoprene rubbers of industrial-grade personal protective equipment as she squints through thick goggles at the fusion reactor core chugging and straining inside its vertical coffin. When Buta acquired the Emperor class G384 Nomad 4, it had only been manufactured 39 times in Zuma Corps' history, given the strenuous material engineering and maintenance demands. But Buta would have nothing less. Only the best for the Lord of Kazuki, this resource-rich jewel of the Apis Fuyumi system. Buta was accustomed to being courted by even sector lords, showered with priceless gifts, including his personal favorite, a Cavalier-class fighter jet. He loved that jet more than anything else in the world. Its sleek black hull bore his family's emblem, a fanged boar, jagged peaks, triple suns. On the observation deck, Samishi considers the physics of the X9400 Reaper S fusion reactor core groaning and sputtering before her. Inside the heavily shielded chassis, over 270 million degrees of heat, 3 times hotter than the core of all 3 sons of Kazuki combined, burn and burn within a roiling stew pot of tenuous plasma, agitating deuterium and tritium into a constant violent embrace. As these isotopes fuse, incredible amounts of kinetic energy explode outward, absorbed by the magnetic fields of the tokamak in the form of heat. Coolant circulating throughout the walls of this vessel captures and disperses this heat, expelling it as steam through a complex series of turbines and alternators, which in turn creates electricity. Power. The physics are simple. Childish even, in a literal sense, for Samishi. As that frolicking 8-year-old, she had doodled blueprints of a modular stellarator as a frivolous thought experiment. But despite the simplicity of the chemical reactions happening before her eyes, there is an equally simple and infinitely impossible barrier that she has tried and failed to overcome these past 10 years. This, of course, was the question of coolant, the mundane but necessary middleman between raw energy and mechanical function. Buta had not given a single damn about the physics that powered his beloved jet. But the physics gave a damn about him, about Kazuki, about the entirety of the Apis Fuyumi system. Trillions and trillions in credits and gold, hundreds and thousands and millions of lives, generations upon generations of time, all poured into the pursuit of the most powerful technologies of the galaxy, fusion, fission, antimatter, warp drives, only to accomplish, at its very core, the ability to more efficiently boil fucking water. And the water was running out. Samishi Erebor knew the odds. On the one hand, there was the seemingly inevitable causal march of Kaseki toward depletion and desiccation, impelled by horrendous greed and exploitation, a march that Fuyumi's best and brightest could not solve because there was no financial incentive to do so, because death made money and life did not. On the other hand, there was her. She never backed down, even when the odds were impossible. Especially when the odds were impossible. Here, at the end of the world, looking at a problem that not even the gods had the power to solve. Samishi's mind turned. She was going to save Kaseki. She would not die trying. Before the drought, the Isthmus of Chisare was a dazzling sight to behold. During high tide, brackish waves submerged this narrow strip of land, transforming it into a sandy reef. It was a place where two oceans met, the cold, vast blue waters of the Kagayaku to the west, and the green, glowing turquoise waves of the Naku to the east. Fish swarmed and teemed, razorback taru leapt through spraying waves, and crabbers trod the shallows for loam and catch. During low tide, the waters receded, and the isthmus rose proudly and warmly, beckoning travelers to cross its sabulous shores. You could tell who passed, based on the tracks in its silt, the long vertical marks of scooters and wagons, the sharp wounds of raptor talons, the gentle prongs of elk and goats and sheep. But despite the grandeur of the isthmus, most travelers preferred the sky bridge. Thousands of feet into the air, a marvel of architecture gleamed under the light of the triple suns. A masterful construction of wood, rope, carbon fiber, and glass that spanned over 100 miles to connect Okinai to the north with Hose-Kote to the south. It was held aloft by massive pillars of colorful adobe, each one painted in neon colors that glowed in the long dark and were a tourist attraction in and of themselves. In fact, one of the most famous vistas of central Kaseki was the Sky Bridge of Chisare and its vibrant, shining pillars, a testament to the ingenuity and artistry of the land and her people. The Sky Bridge collapsed a long time ago, before the last of the water went away. It was the storms that felled it, stronger than monsoon winds, battering and battering until glass shattered, until the adobe cracked and eroded, until the pillars bent to their knees and crumbled. 4 days after the worst decision of Seir's life, Drakefly Canyon spits your party out into the Isthmus of Chisare. Once upon a time, Drakefly Run tumbled dozens and dozens of feet into the boundary waters below, forming a magnificent rapids that caught rainbows at dusk and dawn. Now, in the absence of the Kagayaku Ocean to the west and the Naku Ocean to the east, all that remains of the isthmus is a long, elevated tract of cracked and dry earth surrounded by similarly desiccated land. For a week and a half, your party hikes down this narrow channel, heading dutifully south toward the prefecture of Hose-Kote. On either side of you, the corpse of the once mighty Skybridge is scattered along the entire length of the isthmus, banked along its craggy ridges or kneeling farther away, like exiled knights. Twisted chunks of steel, reams upon reams of broken glass, shredded strings of hempen rope jut out from massive mounds of dust. You see other detritus too, beached ships with nowhere left to go, Water towers turned on their sides, empty drums packed with dust and filth. Random scraps of plastic, tarp, canvas. As your strike team journeys south, we pull in on each of you throughout the week. Let's start with you, Xainan. How do you journey across this isthmus?
Xainan fills the shoes of a bulwark, making camp, forging forward when he can. But unlike the last 3 weeks, in fact, unlike our entire time here on Keseki, Xainan does it while looking back to Lumièra, to Ying He, and even to Seir. He takes his time. There is distance between he and Seir. Even packing up the next morning from that camp, Xainan still barely spoke to him. But before they started even walking, he set the oracle on Seir. Not to spy, per se, but so that Seir had someone to talk to. Someone to remind him that he had to put one foot in front of the other. Because Xainan still feels that ember burn. He still has to learn a lesson or two before he can really have that conversation with Seir. But were he in Seir's shoes, and he has been, he wishes someone had done this for him. Not left him alone. Through no fault of the people that loved him, Xainan found himself alone in these moments. And so he sends the oracle. He does check on Lumièra. And he can't stop watching after Ying He, remembering Tada's shadows fall off of them. He knows them very well. And there is guilt mixed in with all of the other complicated feelings, but no relationship that Xainan Esch has ever had has been uncomplicated. Even going back to his parents. They were hardworking and dedicated, but sometimes there were sacrifices that meant that he had to not have them there, or do what he was told when he really didn't want to, when even they didn't want him to. And his polycule, his partners, they fought like hellions. But at the end of the day, they closed the door on the Lodestar, and they were only alone together. They only had each other in a lot of ways. And they were raising a kid. And she came first. And even Naeem, hell, Castell, and everyone that he's ever been with in our adventures together as Nova. All of those are messy. So he doesn't really think of the complications as unusual or difficult. It's what it means to know people. At least it's what it means to know Xainan Esch. And honestly, he wouldn't change it. His jaw still hurts from getting punched. And he still loves Dom. So.
Yes, Xainan. You are very well versed in the art of bad decisions. And you know how deeply the cost can cut, whether it's broken ribs, or buckshot to the leg, or Piera screaming at you at the top of her lungs that she hates you and hates you and hates you, or Dom punching you in the jaw so many times, or Azel walking out of that door and you never seeing them again. You know how it feels to live with the consequences of your actions, to die by the consequences of your actions as you had. The hardest part had always been doing it alone. You send the oracle off to Seir. You see him these next few days, these next week and a half, walking as you assume the role of bulwark, as you take lead on camp, on scouting, on mapping your route. And you know he has Lumièra. And perhaps he has Ying He too, or will after they're able to work through this. Does he have you?
Xainan works his way slowly towards that. And it doesn't begin with a heartfelt conversation. It begins with instructions. Move this, put that down there. Not out of meanness, but Xainan wants to offer Seir the one thing that, despite their best efforts, his parents, his lovers, hell, even Artemis, couldn't really instill in him. Which is that if you don't have those barriers that stop you from doing things like that, maybe you should make some. So, the place he starts is not with Seir at all. Because what he knows is that he has actually set down some barriers. Because people he loves asked him to. So, he starts by going to Ying He and just asking how he's doing.
Ever since the stranger's death, the only person Ying He has really been interacting with has been Lumièra. She has reached for her hand. They have leaned on her shoulder. Ta has rested Ta the head in her lap after making camp. And you have seen, Xainan, that Ying He, this past week and a half, has been noticeably subdued, much quieter than usual, silent even. Even with Lumièra, they only really offer one-word answers, shrugs, or a distant, faded expression that looks painfully at home on their face. It is a look you have only seen them wear once before, in a crumbled temple full of deadly shadows drawn from your own body. How do you approach them?
Xainan almost always leads, especially conversations that he knows will be awkward, with a gesture first. I think he just brings them food. But with that, he extends the hand. And cuts out any casualness in the gesture. Sorry you're stuck with us.
Ying He accepts the canned food from your grasp. A scavenged spoon digging into the metal. They don't look up when you say that, they just nod.
But, for what it's worth, I'm real glad you're here.
The nodding gets a little faster.
And Xainan sits, not directly next to them, but nearby. How you holding up?
The nodding stops. Ying He gets very still. And then, after a long silence, you hear a noise. Metal tapping against metal. The spoon jittering against the can as their hands start to shake. And then their wrists and arms, then their whole body trembling. They gently set down the food and they begin to weep into their hands.
Hey. Xainan gets closer. It's alright. It's been a
And
hard
wordlessly, Ying He turns to face you, and they bury their head into your shoulder.
And Xainan pulls him gently and realizes this is the first time in a long time that they've even really touched. And he feels the distance that they built between them. It shrinks.
Lumièra. As the days pass into yet another week and a half out of the canyon into the isthmus, how do you travel? What's going through your mind, and how does it come out in your actions?
I think it really starts right back that night, trying and failing to protect Seir from himself, trying and failing to save Ying He that hurt. I think then is when she made the decision to be the lighthouse in the foggy marina. So she offered Seir a cloth to clean himself, to get some rest. And that is how she operates. Lumièra is complicated, but she is pretty one note in her processing. Either she does or she doesn't. And right now, I think her easy way out is being who she always has been. Just herself. So, as usual, she does her medical rounds, making sure that everyone is clean and as best as they can be and safe. No infections, no soreness. And that's how she fills her days. Away from looking up in the sky at the seed she knows she brought closer, trying to fix things. She doesn't say anything. What good would that do now? So she keeps a brave face during the day, being there for anyone and everyone and anyone who will have her in the moment. Even Seir, I think there's quite a bit of time that we spend together where nothing is really said. She just sits there with you, nudging you a bit so that you know that her presence is there, but she leaves the ball directly in your court. When you are ready, she will be there. But at night she tosses and turns with these dreams, these reliving of that moment over and over again. Fate's word, she's not enough, over and over again, and she weeps. She weeps for Seir. I don't think there's a person on this planet that she knows better than him. Honestly, I don't even think she knew Sing as well as she knows Seir. She knows what this is going to do, what this is doing to him. She would lay on 1,000 swords, bring oblivion closer 7 million times if it meant that he never, ever had to deal with this weight on his soul. Because I think she knows just how pure it was. It still is. She knows it's there. She can see it. She knows him. Just like she knows herself. Or she thinks she knows herself. So she continues to be any and everything that Nova needs of her right now. She's not just Seir's beacon. She's Ying He's. She's Xainan's. And I think deep, deep down inside, she knows she's being a beacon for herself as well in this. So to answer your question, she is exactly who she has always been and will continue to be. The essence of the starlight that she is made of.
And it is starlight that brings you your deepest relief, your warmest comfort on those bitter nights when you're tossing and turning under the canvas flaps of your tent, tortured by the memory. But whenever your eyes go up, yes, there is that large, yawning black hole, but there are also stars now, obscured by the dust, and something about starlight just resonates with you. And despite the complication, yes, despite the pain you feel because you know the pain that this brings, Seir, there is also that memory. The memory of your mother's voice, which tastes so sweet in your mouth, like fruit. This memory, it holds you warmly, is a constant companion to you, even through the scorching days, even through the bitter nights of travel. And your mother's name, it is so soft, so grounding, and you know in your heart of hearts that nothing can ever take this memory away from you again. Her name resounds confidently and assuredly within you, helping to keep the flame of your beacon lit. Fola Shade Oluwole Ashinyobi. And every time you begin to doubt your decision, that creeping uncertainty about what if you just vaulted 7 million times, what if you just brought oblivion here to remove the pain from Seir, you remember your mother's words. That this too is a rebirth. That you must look it in its face even if it drips with blood. That you must live with it in your hands. Eyes and wings and teeth and all. And something about it feels so right to you, this concept of rebirth. You, Lumièra, constantly remaking yourself the way you have always been, in a brand new form, with a brand new voice. But even through these iterations of yourself, they tap within a seed of truth that has always been inside your soul, that not even the bindings of fate could remove. And as the week continues, yes, you do your medical checkups with each member of Nova, Seir especially, as usual. And though you have a lack of provisions and resources are scarce, it has been over a month since all of you started traveling. And time, Lumièra, as you well know, is a healer in its own right. So thanks to your consistent checkups, as well as the passage of time, each member of Nova can now remove one harm. Yourself included, Lumièra. And now Seir. As the week goes on, as the days turn from bright, scorching warmth to cold, bitter night, how do you travel across the Isthmus of Cesare? What thoughts roil across your mind, and how do you express them in action?
The night where he made the worst mistake of his life. He committed a mortal sin. Seir returned to his tent that suffocated him before and found only silence as he sees the abandoned sibling on his bedroll. Patience. The gift that he abandoned in his reactivity. The price of which he knows now. Another sibling, a half of a whole, and yet he too turned his back on her. Turned his back on him. And as Seir returns to the tent and kneels before Patience, staring at the gleaming metal, and what light remains in this fate-forsaken place. He picks Patience up by blade and by handle, as if cradling a small child. I abandoned you. I turned my back on you for the sake of wrong reactivity. Not even violence. Just never again. He grips the handle. I will always have a hand for you in everything I do. I will be still and patient. Even when violence requires me to act, I will always have a hand for you. This will be the last and only time I will turn my back on you ever again. And Seir does. He keeps his oath as they prepare the gear in their first exit from this place. Seir sits in silence, not in avoidance of Nova. He's present. He is there in conversation. He nudges back weaker, but he does when Lumièra nudges him. He holds every second of a gaze Ying He would throw in his direction. And Xainan, he pays attention to every movement, every word unspoken, every choice made and not made, with where he is concerned. And with one hand around Patience, Seir is mostly silent, not to avoid Nova, not to avoid himself. But this journey is now a pilgrimage for him, a meditation for his sin, for what he has done, for what he must do, what he will do, for his transformation and change. He does not know for what or how. Only that it has to be different. And for that, he has to look inward, to a place he hasn't looked in decades. And so, Seir does not play the bulwark, but he is watchful. Where Xainan surges forward, Seir sets back. He watches the backs of Nova. He looks at Kaseki. Really looks. Not at the fear and shadow of danger, of annihilation, but for every grain of dust, every ruined outpost, for every shard of what once lived here, for the hole that was once holding water, life. Seir finally at Kaseki.
As the week continues, Seir, your oath to patience, to yourself, burning deep within your soul. In this moment of long overdue reflection, in this journey that is also a crucible, you think about the person you killed, the stranger, their face that you committed to memory, your artist's mind, promising your tender and emotive soul that it will never forget every single detail. The dark emerald hair, the slate blue eyes, light green skin, pink crescent-shaped markings. You do not know their name, who they were, how they survived here, whether they were alone, whether they still had friends or loved ones. You do not know these things about them, and you never will. And you sit with that, you walk with it. You turn this knowledge over and over inside of you, in your hands, in your heart, in your head. You observe the backs of Nova's heads as well. You see the expressions that they turn toward you. And you hold a new reckoning within you now, a knowledge that these expressions, at times of pain and hurt, at times of understanding, empathy, gentleness, at times of anger and firmness, that these reactions are not about who you are, your worth, but what you did, what you chose to do.
What I chose to do.
What you will never choose again, as you have sworn to yourself.
Never again.
And there is a whirring, subdued, chirping, beeping noise also ever present around you. The Oracle. Spherical, droid-like, no longer hitching a ride in Lumièra's pocket or in Xainan's satchel or in Ying He's arms, so much as just rolling across the dusty earth of their own accord. At times lagging behind you, at times in front of you, beside you, but always generally around you. And like the rest of your strike team, the Oracle is somewhat subdued. They had been uncharacteristically quiet after the events of Tower 19, which perhaps at first you had counted a reprieve and relief, but now, maybe not so much. Now the Oracle is practically silent and does not badger you unless you speak to it first. And when you look at it, Seir, and address it, you cannot help but think of the shattered pieces of the training Oracle from so many years ago.
Oracle.
Yes?
Aren't you tired?
I'm okay. I have solar power or something, I think.
Seir crouches, his tail now relatively healthy. There's still slight bit of recovery that needs to happen, but it switches with some interest. His antlers glow a very dim lavender, looking at the oracle. And Seir holds out a hand and looks at the oracle. You're going to follow me around. Then won't you at least want to be comfortable instead of rolling in the dust? I did just fix you.
And you see the oracle kind of spin in place, not moving forward or backward, but as though it were a bowling ball on a sheet of silk, just rotating endlessly in one position.
Okay, but only if you really want to. I don't want to burden you or anything.
You are not a burden, Oracle.
It's just the other oracle in the tower. It was my sibling, and I'd never seen a sibling like that before. Not alive. And this whole time, it's been really hard not to feel the syndicate. Like we're alone here. It's just us. I can't feel them. I can't reach them. And
the slightly cracked lens rotates, refusing to look at you.
I never thought that I didn't know that you would. But then you did. So everything just feels.
I can and I did.
No.
I could and I did.
The eye pans up to look at you.
I did do that, Oracle, and I won't run away from it. And sometimes I now realize that you too turned back on your home for us. And you too just lost a sibling. Oracle. It's okay. And where I am concerned, I will not make that choice again.
The lens blinks and stares at you, that one red light pulsing. And then the oracle says,
Did you make the choice because of this place? Because Keseki is dead and scary?
No. I made the choice because I was scared. And I was scared. I felt so much brimming to burst, and I didn't know what to do with it. I thought I was protecting everyone. I thought I was protecting you and all of Nova from some terrible danger. But no, I just reacted. Like swatting something. A knee-jerk reaction. But I don't... One should not react that way.
The sphere bobs as though it's a head up and down. And the oracle says very seriously and firmly,
Well, I don't know what it's like to have a knee-jerk reaction on account of not having knees.
I think that would be terrifying if you ever did get one.
and for the first time in a long time, you hear the oracle snicker and laugh.
There we go. That's better.
Okay, carry me.
I won't put you in my pocket, okay?
Okay.
And Seir holds out his palm his left palm as the oracle rolls onto the center of his palm. And Seir literally just holds the oracle. Doesn't stuff it in a pocket, throw it in into his satchel. Doesn't shake it violently. He just holds it so gently. And whatever conversations they have. And Seir feels a little bit more what he wants to be, even if he has no name for it.
Strike Team Nova. As your 5th week on Keseki draws to a close, the Isthmus of Cesare stretches in front of you and stretches behind you for as far as the eye can see. According to Xainan's map, you are about halfway across the strait with another 70 or 80 miles left to go. At this point, the suns are beginning to set. In another few hours, the dark will close in, bringing with it the terrible and thankless cold. On the eastern horizon, you notice something vast and stomach-churning. The distant, billowing wall of a dust storm. By now, this sight is somewhat familiar, but no less fear-inducing. Based on its trajectory, it is headed due west, your direction, and will reach your location after dark. It would behoove you to find shelter, and soon. As your party observes the eastern sky and discusses what your next course of action should be, your conversation is interrupted by noticing something else in the atmosphere above your heads. Moving at a rapid speed, high above you from north to south, from the direction you came in, is an object. At this distance, it looks like a dot in the dusty sky, hurtling across the horizon with purpose and direction, and as it approaches, it gets larger and larger and larger and larger until details become visible. Sleek wings, a gleaming body, an angular and pronged tail, and a cockpit tinted gold against a black chassis, the light of these triple suns reflecting off of bulletproof glass. A ship. Not a shuttle, it is not nearly large enough to leave the planet's atmosphere and launch itself into space. Even before the dust, it couldn't have done that. But it is a ship, and it zooms overhead, heading due south, the direction you're going as well. And in its wake, a huge gust of wind and dust kicks up around your party, and you hear the loud chugging whine of spinning propellers and powerful engines before it all fades, vanishing into the distance. What do?
I think, despite the probably hazard of doing this, Xainan stares open mouth at this thing passing over them in shock. He saw these in Haruna. This blooms where there has been an ember of anger and this deep concentration of healing. Inside, that sparkle, that light, that burning reflection of Mayday missions lights in his eyes. The dust storm is coming, but what are the chances? You'll see that!
What was that?
Maybe we can get to it before the storm.
Let's see who's on it. People.
Okay, yes. Let's go.
People.
And strike Team Nova. You follow the ship south. There's no further question about it. Being careful, of course, to keep an eye on the eastern skies for the approaching dust storm, parallel to you now. And for 30 minutes, you move as quickly and carefully as you can until you finally see something on the southern horizon before your very eyes. It is the aircraft. It has touched down onto the ground, on the isthmus, as though it were a strip of tarmac. facing southeast, and there are people milling around it, doing something odd. To the east of the ship, where there was once water, where there was once the Naku Sea, you see a large outcropping of desiccated rocks. Maybe these rocks used to be coral once upon a time, or a reef, or simply a submerged marine landform now exposed for the world to see. Whatever it was, whatever it is now, no fewer than a half dozen people are buzzing around these rocks. They're swinging pickaxes to loosen them from their foundation. You can hear it because there's no other landforms to muffle the noise. A kind of distant dunk, dunk, dunk of the pickaxes, rolling them, the rocks, onto a cart, and then wheeling that cart full of rocks into the open cargo hold of the spacecraft nearby. And then they roll the empty cart back to the rocks as though it were a quarry, and they keep picking at it, keep mining. Dunk, dunk, dunk. And your party is far away enough that, and these people are busy enough, that they haven't seen you yet. You do, however, notice one person presiding over the operations, presumably a leader of some kind, directing them with a booming voice. You can hear even from this distance, but the words aren't legible. And there's another person you see kind of standing off to one side, keeping watch. And as far as you can tell, every single one of these people is armed. You see guns, long rifles, and also smaller guns holstered to hips, things slung across backs, bandoliers full of bullets. What do you do?
I think before we get too close, Xainan just kind of motions Nova in. Now, I don't know if you noticed, most people here may or may not be the most friendly. And that was before the storm. We should probably approach carefully. But
yeah.
And he looks over his shoulder at the storm. They might be able to get us out of the way of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we could probably hitch a ride. If they're not, unfriendly.
I can't believe there's more people.
I can't believe they're mining.
What are they mining, Zai?
Is that like rock or?
Can
As
I
you all
tell
squint
anything
from
other
this
than rock?
distance- You can roll. Yeah, for sure you can roll. At this distance, I'm just going to tell you straight up, unless you are like a geologist or like already a scientist, without getting closer, you're not going to get anything except for just rocks. Yes, Lumièra.
Oh no, I was raising my hand as a
Yeah.
scientist.
Yo, that's
Yeah.
true. You are? Yeah, that's true. Lumièra would probably have the best guess at this distance. Would you like to close the gap, or are you all staying away? You're maybe like a eighth of a mile away from them.
I think Xainan and Lumièra lock eyes, if you're all right with this.
Mm-hmm.
And he slings the rifle off of his shoulder because he knows you know how to spot with it.
Lumièra, once you
Let's
slip
go.
the rifle off of your shoulder, she kind of looked wide-eyed for a second before immediately locking in, and she'll, with familiar ease at this point, settle it across herself, and much like, and you can hear her like repeating the steps that Xainan taught her, mumbling them out loud under her breath before she looks down the barrel of the scope. She likes
Okay.
looking down the scope. With one eye closed, she can just focus on what she needs to look at. And the outside periphery never makes its way into her line of view.
Perfect. Okay, as you lift the scope up to your eyes and everything just gets bigger underneath the rifle, I need you to make me a wit check to see if
Okay.
you could figure out what's happening with the rocks, with the people, what they're doing, any more information visually. I'm going to
Okay.
give you an extra d20 from harnessing a relevant tool because you're using the scope. You do not have situational advantage, and aside from the scope, no other character is actively assisting you, so it's just going to be 2d20.
I have archaeology. Can I use that?
You know what? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, that's 3d20. Go for it.
Cool.
You're trying to beat a 12.
As
under.
this is happening, Seir puts Oracle on his shoulder and goes, "At the first sign of trouble, you roll into my pocket. You got it? Good."
Okay, got it. Magnify. Enhance. Just kidding, I don't have a zoom lens.
I thought you were going to be useful for a second. Okay.
That'll be 2 successes.
That's great, actually. Okay, Lumièra, as you peer through the scope, the first thing you notice is that these people who are working swinging pickaxes, they don't look like they're miners. They don't have hard hats on. They don't have like a typical kind of mining gear. They just kind of look like scavengers, survivors. They're dressed in the same mishmashed assemblages of scavenged cloth, fabric, and scrap that all of you are. But they're swinging pickaxes, and you notice that the pickaxes all differ in size and condition, as though these tools were also scavenged or harvested from somewhere else. And they're all working really diligently. Like, they seem to know each other quite well and are talking and moving quite seamlessly. As for the rocks themselves, they're gray, bleached rocks. As they get cracked open and lodged from their foundations and rolled up, you see kind of a few veins in the sides of some of these rocks that look like maybe carved in from where water might have seeped in, kind of like dry clay, almost like dry clay. And there's something evocative of the ghost of liquid about these rocks as they start rolling them onto these carts. That is what you get with 2 successes. Oh, also with 2 successes, would you like to swing the scope over and look at the leader and the lookout? Okay, so you swing the scope over and you notice the leader, this man, tall, broad-shouldered, kind of just directing people around. He's got this long, dark blue hair that's braided down his back and reaches his tailbone, and this hair is shaved on the sides. And his skin is this light blue, lighter than his hair, and he has a short-cropped beard around his mouth, these black scleras, and bright yellow irises that almost glow like a cat's. And just like most of his crew, he wears a respirator over his jaw, and also a set of goggles over his face to protect against the dust. You do notice that everyone here who's wearing respirators and goggles, this personal protective equipment looks quite well maintained. Actually, it looks really nice. Like a few of them look like they've been repaired, but very well. And this leader doesn't have a huge rifle or a big gun or whatever, but he does have a revolver sitting on his hip. And the lookout, kind of off to the side, is a woman. She's quite tall as well, muscular. She is draped in frayed linens and cloth, and you see these durable wrist wraps protecting their forearms, and glowing hazel eyes behind a set of goggles as well. Short black hair, medium brown skin, white neon markings all over their face and exposed skin. And they have a thick scarf around their nose and mouth. And they are carrying the largest gun, kind of just not pointing it at anyone, but just resting, ready to go in case they need to. A pulse rifle. It looks militaristic, almost like very advanced, kind of across both of her hands. Kind of just resting, and she's looking around.
Okay. I think while Lumièra is looking this out, you kind of see her go back and forth across the field at them before she drops it. So, one in charge that we need to speak to. Tall, blue, fabulous long braid. The rocks, there's something about them, like they're water adjacent. They might be being used for something, but every last one of them are armed to the teeth. Especially the blue overseer and some other woman with probably the biggest gun out of all of them. Dark gray skin. And I think she is like verbatim giving you a verbal description of exactly everything that she saw to the T.
So they're a well put together outfit.
Yeah.
All right.
Not to mention the respirators. don't look like they've seen much wear and tear. And most, they're super well maintained. So they have resources somewhere.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right, well, we should figure out what we got that we can offer. But, and Xainan looks to Seir. Doesn't look at a mask named Sing. Doesn't look at a mirror. But he looks to the young person that he knows is capable of being imposing, being stalwart and present. Want to be my muscle?
Sure, but and Seir looks at them and then looks at us, and he has a hand on patience. And his hand grazes over the metal at the top of the hilt. We should just lead with the offer.
Of course.
We're just travelers.
I just want to... People like this, a little bit of strength might go a long way. Show that we're not just desperate.
Seir eyes you so cautiously. Maybe for the first time, every other request, order, has been delivered without question. There's a question in Seir's eye. And he just nods. I'll stand behind you. Hopefully talks just go smoothly, okay?
That's the goal.
Right.
I trust you.
Thank you.
And though Xainan doesn't say it, he wouldn't ask if he didn't trust you to stand behind him. And he turns to walk towards the ship, fishing in his pockets, pulling out a respirator.
I assume, though, Seir will be your muscle. Lumièra, are you also coming with, or are you staying behind?
Okay, yeah. I will.
Okay, yeah.
I'll check on Ying He one last time before I do, though.
Yes, Ying He is nodding quietly as this conversation unfolds between Xainan and Seir. He also seems open, very open to the idea of negotiating, perhaps even trading with these people. Though you do notice a kind of, animal look on Ying He's expression that looks at home there. A kind of almost a feral edge to their face, almost a resignation, as though there's a part of them that is preparing internally for the worst. They're hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst. And you see in their silver eyes someone who is very used to the worst passing. Okay. All right, Lumièra and I will be right behind you as well. We'll go together.
Yeah, we will.
Let's go,
I
Nova.
think maybe I'll fall into your pack. I don't know how they will feel about me as a droid. Maybe they will want
I
me,
agree.
but I do not. Or should yeah?
No, just stay in my pocket. I don't want them taking you.
Yes, because they might see me as a valuable resource. They might
Mhm.
want me because I am a hot commodity.
Yes. Yes, you are. Now get in my pocket.
Okay.
And the oracle rolls down from your shoulder and drops perfectly into your pocket, like a billiard ball.
What I will do is lead with this, and Seir, as we're walking, we'll start pulling out our protection resources. Things that will likely be of value to whatever outfit these group of people are, but not letting them too close to the rest of our much life needed resources. So I think Seir is taking some of these like metal plates and like making a show of slinging it over his shoulder. One hand on patience as well. He thinks to himself in this moment of previous choices past Seir would make. Standing up straight, broad-shouldered, eyes sneering with the taste of violence. There are other ways of showing strength. I'll just carry some heavy equipment. That'll be enough. If they need more, I'll prove more. But not yet. Patience first. Patience always.
With that, Strike Team Nova, you approach this spacecraft, the people working by these rocks, the leader, the lookout, and when you're maybe just 100 or 200 feet away, the lookout spots your approach. I'm going to assume none of you are pointing your weapons, but rather kind of holding your hands up in a gesture of peace.
Xainan
Yes, okay.
raises one hand because he purposefully puts his mask on with the other.
Okay. The lookout kind of notices you first, and she makes a whistling noise that echoes across this empty space. And at that, everyone who was working by the rock stops working. They lower their pickaxes and raise their heads in your direction. And the leader turns as well to face you. And the leader, his hand doesn't go to his weapon, but you see a couple of people who are working with their pickaxes lower their pickaxes, maybe reach for their weapons, but none of them draw yet. They just place their hands on the holsters of their guns, their knives, their hatchets, whatever they might be. And the lookout, this woman with the huge pulse rifle, also doesn't lift the rifle at you, but she does tighten her grip on it and kind of square her shoulders to face your party. And the guy with the fabulous beard, as Lumièra had pointed out, raises his head and directs his voice in your direction. Hey! What do you got there?
Stuff for trade if you got a ear for a deal.
He looks to the left, looks to the right, as though scanning your area to see if this is a trap. And then you see his eyes pause on the eastern horizon where the dust storm has gotten closer. There's a bit more wind now blowing here. The suns are starting to reach the horizon. And then he looks back towards your party. Slowly. Hands where we can see him.
Now this is familiar for Xainan Esch. Standing hip to hip with Pyrrha, walking into a viper's nest. People who have money and power and equipment beyond what they have. But what they didn't have then, well, they did have Dom and Azalis maybe doing some other part of this job, they did not have a chronologist, a shadow mage, and the son of doom with them. And Xainan walks up, peaceable, ready to actually negotiate. He did mean it. But the outlaw of Haruna Valley knows how to draw his weapon quickly. And he walks up open-palmed and all smiles.
That what you got for trade? He jerks his head toward the large metal plates on Seir's back.
Yeah, we found a good haul. Looking to any motions to the dust storm. Maybe hop a ride?
A ride, huh? And those black scleras, bright yellow irises scan your group. We could maybe make that work. Depends, where are you headed?
Away from that, mostly. But, headed that way. Any motions towards the south?
The south, right, yeah. He sucks on his teeth that you can hear even through the respirator and says, "Sorry, that we can't do. We're headed that way." And he jerks his head in the exact opposite direction that you want to get to, northwest. But we've got
Gonna
some,
be a tough flight.
This spacecraft can make it, no problem. We've got a bit of buffer room before the storm hits. Listen, we have some, canned goods we can maybe trade for that, but if it's a ride you need, we're not going south.
Do any of you need medical attention?
Right now? No, my crew's actually doing quite well. We appreciate the offer, though. Where we're from, we're not really, in much want of medical attention.
Pretty well outfitted. What's, northeast for you, if you don't mind my asking?
The man pauses, not sure if he should share this information, but the woman behind him with the rifle raises her chin and says, "It's the garden. And the man looks back at her with a sharp look, and then turns back to face you. Damn it, Stovall. Yeah, we've got a situation. Northwest, a place for good people. You know, people we know, people we trust, people who have
Of course.
proven themselves.
This garden growing anything green on this here spot of dust?
Oh, you have no idea. You have no idea. But, listen. I don't know why you're heading south. I don't know what's waiting on the other side of this isthmus for you, but if you're interested, we could maybe talk about having you come with us to where we're from, to our home. But if that's the case, there are some rules here about how we vet newcomers.
Now. I ain't looking to join your garden club. Headed
Okay.
towards Haruna.
Haruna? What, the city?
Yeah. Yeah, but thereabouts.
That place has been tapped out for years now. There's nothing there waiting for you.
Yeah, well, call me a fool then. You can be down here at the bottom of the ocean mining rocks. I can go about my business.
All right, then. As the man starts to turn away from you, the woman steps forward and says, there's just death south, if that's where you're headed. This garden of ours, it's a commune of sorts. We can't take you to Haruna right now, but maybe if you came back with us, we could figure out a way to get you where you need to go.
We could
And Xainan-
outfit ourselves, Xainan. And Seir says that very quietly. Like, we could restock, outfit, and we might make the journey back twice as fast. And less unprepared.
And Xainan looks over his shoulder, just glances at Seir, not questioning this wisdom. But you see for the first time since we hit the signal tower, hunger. Hunger for whatever is in this garden. The man in the dust. Envying? No. Wanting to know how. He is very intrigued by this thought. But he looks to Lumièra and Ying He as well.
I think it's a solid plan. We do need provisions, we do need to restock, and by the looks of them, this garden is... They might have water there. They can grow things. I think it's worth the shot. Or, you know, we could be stuck out there. And Lumièra nods her head towards the dust storm.
If there wasn't a storm headed our way, I would say we should just keep heading south. We've already made so much progress, but I don't know where we would shelter up. There haven't been caves or tunnels or anything like that for miles. And I don't think we can outrun the storm this time.
And there's the additional hope, Zai, that who you're looking for might have been there. This is a commune, there's a chance of information.
That's true. There's probably a lot of survivors that call that place home now. Ones that are left, that is.
And that song, the one that he heard from that spirit gone to oblivion now, echoes around Kaseki, alive somewhere in this garden, perhaps. And he nods. So, what's this test? Prove our worth.
The man turns back to you. He had been kind of watching all of you kind of confer privately about this offer. And he says, well, in the interest of the safety of our community, I'm sure you'll understand, anyone that comes aboard one of our vessels, one of our spacecraft, you will, of course, be expected to hand over all of your weapons, all of your equipment, anything you might have on you, temporarily, of course, on your way to the garden. After you arrive, you will speak with Samishi directly, unarmed, to ensure her safety and ours. If she agrees to accept you, you will have the opportunity to stay, you will get your things back, and you will be onboarded to the commune. If you are not accepted by Samishi, you will get your things back, you will be politely escorted out of the garden and sent along your way with a few provisions.
That name. Does Xainan know a Samishi?
How closely would Xainan follow the politics of Keseki? Or how aware would he
Not
be?
even a little. Not even a little.
Okay, then I don't think the name Samishi rings a bell for you.
Okay. And Xainan feels this gnawing in his gut. Call it a hunch. Maybe it's just fear. Because he doesn't want to put his Ema's rifle in someone else's hand, and here it really is his Ema's rifle. But if it's shelter, and if Nova thinks it's a good idea, ooh, he's gonna try and listen. He's gonna try. All right. We are interested in seeing your garden and meeting your Samishi.
All right then. Why don't each of you come closer and hold out your weapons, and you can place them on the ground between us.
And Xainan will go first. He takes his Ema's rifle off his shoulder. He takes the scope off of it, puts it in his bag. And then he pauses, a long pause, because he knows what he would call a weapon. And he knows what's stuck in his boot. And if the gun was hard, this feels impossible. As he sees the patron saint of mortals cut a shard of oblivion and a thread of fate from their own hand and weave it with his soul into this knife. And he draws the knife. And he goes to lay it in the dirt.
Appreciate your honesty with that boot knife. The rest of you as well, we would also appreciate your honesty. It's a nice piece of work you got there. Single action?
Sure is.
And
Flock tender.
The man lets out a low, appreciative whistle at your rifle. And you see him kind of nodding at it. He understands the work that went into the craftsmanship of it. Ying He, who doesn't have a weapon on them, just kind of takes random bits and bobs that they've scavenged throughout travel and places them on the ground and just kind of raises their hands. Though they do cast a sideways glance at Lumièra, as everyone here knows what Ying He is capable of without a formal weapon. Seir, do you lay patience on the ground? You're muted.
You're muted.
I can now speak. He has to, because he holds patience on a bandolier, harnessed around his body. Everyone can see he's wielding a moon knife. And so Seir unsheaths patience, looks over to it, and quietly whispers to her, I'll be back for you. It'll be for a short moment. And puts down his blade patience right next to Xainan's.
As you go ahead.
Lumièra drops to one knee, dig into the side of her boot to get her trusty boot knife. She sticks it, blade first, into the dust right in front of her, as well as reaching into her coat, medical scalpel. Does like a little show and sticks it blade first into it, puts her hands up and steps back. Noticeably
nods
does
at
not
you.
remove her pocket watch.
Yeah. This man nods at you, nods at the knife, at the medical scalpel, gives you kind of like a ascertaining look. A doctor, huh? You know, we could always use more. Two things happen at the same time. First, a loud noise. A bang. And then, as he's talking to you and looking at you, Lumièra, the light vanishes from this man's eyes as his right temple explodes, and he drops to the ground like a sack of rocks.
Get down! Xainan hits the dirt.
I think
So
it
does
takes
Cook.
Lumièra a second, of complete and total shock. I think time slows for her a bit as it's the viscera from that shot kind of sprays across her face, and she's kind of stunned into shocked for a second. And I think it's like a slow warb off and behind her periphery of Seir's get down before she actually does drop.
There's a bang, 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 more bangs all around you now. Bullets ripping out of the dust that now thickens and surrounds you from the oncoming storm. People shouting by the rocks, screaming, dropping to the ground as well as they're ducking for cover or as they're getting hit, or both. And the winds howl and the dust blows in and the storm from the east begins to descend as everything devolves into chaos. And we're going to end the session there. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Arc 4 episodes 15 and 16, the midpoint of the arc. Let's do some much-deserved introductions, starting with Valiant Dorian.
Hello everyone, my name is Valiant. Love wins, Dorian. And I use he, him, his pronouns. You can find me all across the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Otso Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I just set you on. And tonight, I had the distinct pleasure of playing Seir. Uses he, they pronouns. And yeah, I'm going to pass it on over to Kai.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kai. You can find me everywhere as Estelle Van Ladris. It has been a singular joy and maybe a little bit of strange satisfaction in the growth of Mr. Xainan Esch tonight. And I will bounce it on over to our terrified... Honestly, I'm more afraid of the scalpel than the knife. From Lumièra.
You should be. She's a master at it. Hi, everyone. I am Samm Star. Once again, she, they, and the occasional Fae pronouns, playing our favoriteest baby girl, Lumièra. You can catch me all across the interwebs, most specifically where the butterflies do fly blue, at Lust for Life X, LUSTTFORLIFEX. Damn, that was one fucking hell of an episode, Connie. Take us on home, boss.
It's me, taking us on home, boss. Oh, with that, we are back to our regularly scheduled programming for Chaos. That was our incredible midpoint stream. Thank you all so much for joining us. And please join us again, most likely next week, Saturday, March 14th at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, right here on Twitch and YouTube Live for the next installment of the Chaos Protocol. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Arc 4 stream, our midpoint, and I cannot wait for you all to learn more about the plot, the capital P plot, the capital N narrative, the capital S story. In the meantime, you can support our show by joining our Patreon, joining and participating in our Discord server, making fan works if you are so inspired, posting about Transplanar RPG on Blue Sky, Instagram, or Tumblr, rating our podcast, buying merch from our merch store, and most importantly, telling someone else about the channel, whether it is your friends, your family, your homoerotic enemy, your barista.
Yeah, I mean, you can also. This is a good story. You can indeed also tell your homophobic friends and family to. Maybe this could change them. I don't know.
Not like this.
I don't know.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know.
This could change them, but tell them to keep their opinions away from us and don't talk to me.
Oh yeah, no. Tell them to shove their opinions. Tell them to shove it immediately, very deeply. But if you're moved, let me know. If not.
If it's anything
yourself.
except for undying praise, get out of here. Tell your dog, your cat, your snake, your frog, your oracle, your horse, your parakeet. Thank you all so much, Transplaners. We will see you next Saturday, March 14th at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. And in the meantime, Bijo, we're gonna rate someone really awesome right now. Go send the love to them. Bye! Hello, Transplay Nerds! It's your favorite part of every Chaos Protocol stream. Sponsor Connie time. For Arc 4, we are thrilled to partner with the Working Families Party, a progressive third party in the United States building a multiracial coalition of working class people to make our communities a better place to live for everyone. The Working Families Party is fighting for universal healthcare, taxing the rich, and higher wages. If you're in the US and you want to make a difference in your community, I highly recommend checking out the Working Families Party and getting involved with your local chapter. In fact, let's take an action together right now to sign a petition by the Working Families Party to break up big media companies. This petition means a lot to us as indie actual play performers telling authentic stories, fighting censorship, and resisting authoritarianism. Go to bit.ly/WFPtrans and add your name to the list. By signing this petition, you will join the Working Families Party's mailing list and receive opportunities to help them organize, educate, and fundraise. Let's build a better future together. Howdy, Transplay Nerds! It is, once again, Sponsor Connie time. Arc 4 is proudly sponsored by Hero Forge, a website where you can design and print your very own custom miniatures. But you already knew that, didn't you? Because the spectacular Hero Forge has sponsored us every single arc so far. We've stuck together through all sorts of exciting updates, like Hero Forge Pro, statuettes, color-printed plastic, premium plastic, but now, it's time. It's time for one of the most exciting Hero Forge updates ever. Custom dice. Hero Forge is now offering 3D printed custom dice, where you can put literally anything into the clear material of the die. Each die is printed in the same layers as the item or character bust inside of it, resulting in a solid, perfectly weighted chunk of math rock. You decide the size, color, and shape of your die, the size and color of the numbers on top, and, of course, what the die contains.
Put a frog in it.
Don't die-lay. Visit bit.ly/transforge to design your very own custom miniature or custom dice today.